Crossing the threshold. Every culture has faced the same challenge. How do we help young people move from one stage of life to the next in a healthy and meaningful way? Throughout history, communities have answered that question through the use of rites of passage. These experiences help us recognize important transitions, support growth, and step more consciously into new ways of being. A rite of passage is a structured experience that marks a meaningful transition in life. It acknowledges that something is ending and something new is beginning. Whether we're moving from childhood to adolescence, adolescence to adulthood, or through any major life transition, these moments invite growth, challenge us, and help us transform. The transition itself is universal. How we meet it makes all the difference. In many cultures, important transitions were recognized and supported by family, elders, and community. Today, many of those structures have disappeared. Young people still face the same developmental challenges, but often without clear guidance or meaningful ways to mark their growth. Rites of passage help restore what is often missing. They create opportunities for self-discovery, increased responsibility, deeper connection, and a renewed sense of purpose. At their best, rites of passage help people move beyond simply acquiring new information or skills. They invite a deeper transformation. Transformation changes the way we understand ourselves and the world around us. It affects our beliefs, our identity, and the choices we make. Rather than changing us from the outside in, transformation emerges from within, which in turn reorganizes how we live. Transformation is not self-improvement. There's an important distinction between growth and transformation. Growth may help us become better at something. Transformation changes who we are. A butterfly is not an improved caterpillar. The caterpillar's form completely dissolves and rebuilds as a fundamentally new autonomous creature. In much the same way, a rite of passage is not about becoming a better version of the same person. It's about crossing a threshold into a new relationship with ourselves and with life. While rites of passage vary across cultures and traditions, many share a similar 6-step structure. First, we acknowledge what is ending and then cast it off. Then we separate from old ways of being and enter into a period of uncertainty, challenge, and discovery. And finally, we return with a renewed sense of identity and purpose, witnessed and supported by the recognition of others. These 6 steps provide a practical framework for creating meaningful rites of passage in contemporary life. Every rite of passage begins with recognizing what is coming to an end. Before something new can emerge, we must first acknowledge what has served its purpose. This may include old beliefs, familiar roles, habits, assumptions, or ways of understanding ourselves. Naming what is ending creates an intentional separation from the past and prepares us for what is yet to emerge. Without acknowledging and letting go of the old, it's difficult to fully step into the new. The gap experience is the threshold between who we have been and who we are becoming. It is a space of uncertainty where the old identity no longer fully fits and the new identity has not yet emerged. Across cultures, this step has often involved challenge, solitude, reflection, and silence or meaningful testing. The purpose is not hardship for its own sake. The purpose is to create conditions that interrupt familiar patterns and open the possibility for new insight to emerge. In this liminal space, transformation becomes possible. Something important happens when we step beyond what is familiar. We begin to discover strengths we did not know we possessed. We gain insight into who we are and what matters most. Clarity begins to emerge. Old limitations loosen their grip. New possibilities become visible. The gap does not tell us who to become. Rather, it creates the conditions in which a new way of being can emerge naturally from within. Following the gap comes a period of reflection and integration. What has been learned must now be named. New understandings, values, commitments, and aspirations begin to take form. Throughout history, people have used art, story, music, movement, and ceremony to express what words alone cannot fully capture. Giving expression to what has emerged helps strengthen commitment to living it. Transformation becomes more powerful when it is witnessed. Family, friends, mentors, and community members play an essential role in recognizing growth. Through celebration, we communicate an important message. We see you. We recognize your growth. We support who you are becoming. Community acknowledgement helps anchor the transformation and strengthens a sense of belonging. No meaningful transformation happens entirely alone. Along the way, there are people who guide us, challenge us, support us, and believe in us. The practice of gratitude reminds us of our interconnectedness. It helps us recognize that growth is not simply an individual achievement. It is also the result of relationships, community, and shared effort. Gratitude deepens those bonds and reinforces our responsibility to one another. While every rite of passage is unique, several principles are essential. The experience should match the age, readiness, and developmental needs of the individual passenger. It should challenge without overwhelming. It should support growth rather than attempt to fix or repair psychological wounds. But most importantly, it should honor the person exactly where they are while inviting them toward what is emerging. A well-designed rite of passage creates the conditions for growth. It does not force growth or a particular outcome. When thoughtfully designed and carefully supported, rites of passage offer gifts that extend far beyond the experience itself. Participants often develop greater trust in their own inner knowing. They become more adaptable in the face of uncertainty and change. They gain a deeper sense of meaning, purpose, and direction. So rather than seeking fixed answers, they become more capable of living with important questions. These capacities help us navigate not only one transition, but the many thresholds that will continue to present themselves throughout life. Although we often think of rites of passage as experiences for young people, they transform adults as well. Parents, educators, mentors, and community members tend to grow alongside the passengers they support. In guiding others through transition, adults are often invited into their own inner work of reflection, fully being present, trust, and growth. We cannot nurture in another what we are unwilling to cultivate in ourselves. As young people develop greater responsibility, self-awareness, and purpose, adults are called to deepen their own capacities for patience, wisdom, trust, authentic relationship, and care. In this way, growth becomes mutual. The rite of passage belongs not only to the passenger crossing the threshold, but also to the family, mentors, and community members who witness and support the journey. Effective rites of passage recognize that each period of life brings distinct developmental needs, challenges, and opportunities. Different ages face different challenges, opportunities, and developmental growth. What supports a 10-year-old may not support a 16-year-old. What inspires a young adult may not be appropriate for a young child. In natural learning relationships, we provide a developmental framework that helps us understand these differences and create experiences that are both meaningful and age-appropriate. The right challenge offered in the right time can awaken new capacities and possibilities. Rites of passage are not only about adolescence, they're about life itself. Throughout our lives, we move through thresholds: childhood to adolescence, adolescence to adulthood, dependence to self-authorship, confusion to purpose and meaning. We never stop crossing thresholds. The question is whether we move through them unconsciously or whether we meet them with awareness, intention, and the willingness to be transformed. For more than 4 decades, we have worked with families, educators, mentors, and communities, seeking meaningful ways to support human development. Crossing the threshold brings together what we have learned through that experience. This book offers a practical framework for creating contemporary rites of passage that honor developmental needs while remaining flexible enough to fit diverse families, communities, and cultural settings. Our hope is to provide guidance for those who wish to help others navigate life's important transitions with greater wisdom, intention, and support. As partners in life and work since 1979, we have devoted much of our professional lives to understanding human development, learning, relationships, and well-being. Through the creation of natural learning relationships, our work has focused on helping children, adults, families, educators, and communities flourish. We believe that healthy development is supported through meaningful relationships, appropriate challenges, and opportunities for growth. We also believe that rites of passage remain one of the most powerful tools available for helping people cross life's important thresholds. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of rites of passage and human development.